Welcome back on this beautifully dreary, rainy-ass fucking cold front of a day that's not really cold to Blue Collar Genius, where we sit down in a bar equivalent setting and get to have those interesting, intimate conversations that you have at the bar. Today we have Marlon Foster. Did I say your last name right?
Yeah.
I was afraid I was going to fuck that one up. Marlon, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Just getting over a cold, but pretty good.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, you were pretty well whiny about it, too.
Yeah.
Now, you're a very interesting person. You have your hat in a lot of different pots, doing all kinds of different things. What are some of the regular things you're doing these days that people could catch you at might be interested in?
So I manage and run the Basement Presents. We DJ all around Palm Beach County every Sunday. You can catch us at CWS. And also, if you head to our Facebook page, you can see some of the events that we do. I also manage the musician services at the Cultural Council, which I help musicians find gigs and give them workshops and stuff like that. And then I also have Wingding TV, which has a show on there called Chefed Up with my boy Andrew Rodriguez.
What days is that?
What, Chefed Up?
Yeah.
Whenever he comes into town. But there's 2 episodes up there at the moment.
And where do they catch it? That's at Wingding TV?
Yeah, on Facebook. It's a page and we stream live there.
That's pretty cool. Now, do you have any major events coming up in the next couple months that people might want to be interested in?
Bartback is happening on Saturday. If you've not heard about that, it's a festival where we help the puppies and
Paparooskies!
Yeah, it's a great event with Spread the Dub, Surfer Bloods playing, the Gutter Tones, so Beautiful Disaster, Copper Tones. There's so many great bands playing, and then Basement Presents has our own stage where we have 5 different DJs. It's going to be a different vibe each hour, from funk to Motown to hip hop to 80s to vinyl. You name it, we'll be doing it on that day. So that is Saturday, November 16th.
Let's bring it back a little bit close.
At Matthews. You got me?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Now, interesting thing. You recently did a little event yourself before. What was that called again?
It was the Musicians Bar Crawl, which was 5 different bars, 5 different musicians in each spot. It went very well. You were there. Did you enjoy it?
I fucking had a great time.
Yeah.
It was very interesting because I've seen bar crawls and I've seen, shows where people, have different, types of performances happening. I think that's the first time where it's ever been different bar for a different performance. What made you come up with that type of venue event?
Well,
had you seen something similar? Or?
No, it was basically, I kind of I see some great musicians throughout Palm Beach County, and it kind of sucks when you see these great musicians kind of getting ignored at these bars, and it's not the bar's fault, and it's not the musician's fault. I get it. People are out drinking, talking, etc., etc. So I did the Musicians Bar Crawl in a way to just highlight each musician for an hour. And my hope was the people that were attending it was they were attending it for the music and also the deals, but they were actually attending to see these different musicians. So it was just a way of kind of bringing in a dedicated crowd to see those musicians, and hopefully they would tip them. And it was just my idea to kind of highlight the musicians and stuff like that.
I mean, I enjoyed it. It was interesting because you could definitely sense there was an intent of flow of the way you set up the musicians.
Yeah.
Some were definitely favorites of mine.
Yeah.
Some were not normally my taste, but I could definitely recognize the talent present, even if it wasn't my preferred music genre.
Right.
But they were still obviously the talent was noticeable.
Yeah.
And I could appreciate what they're doing, even if it wasn't something I would intentionally normally look for. So that was interesting as well.
Yeah.
And the venues, there was a venue you took us on that I'd never been to.
Yeah.
I've never been to the library. That was
That
was a cool little intimate venue.
Yeah. That was the hope. I just wanted to curate it where it was okay, you got your singer-songwriters, you've got kind of like more of a rock, soul type vibe, you've got some originals, you got a bit of reggae. So yeah, that was my intent to kind of give like a mixture of different type of styles and stuff.
Now you're very big into the music stuff. Where did that come from? Have you always been big into music? Is something that developed later in life, or?
I've always been into music. My grandma, me and her, we like her record collection was amazing, and we just always sit and listen to records all the time. And then I just started to play the piano a little bit, and yeah, just always been into music ever since a kid.
So what kind of music did your grandmother first originally into? Like, what was she into big?
Motown, Barry White, all the soul stuff, to be honest.
I like Motown myself.
Yeah, the soul stuff. Some weird stuff as well. Like, she likes some of the psychedelic stuff and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, her record collection is amazing.
Some Parliament P-Funk,
Yeah,
huh?
exactly, yeah. That's it. So, yeah, that's how I got into it and everything.
And was that here in the States, or?
No.
I mean, if people didn't recognize your accent's not from around these parts.
No.
Boy, you ain't from these parts. Where are you from?
I'm from England, Leicester, which is like an hour and a bit north from London.
Because you got to give that point of reference for us dumbass Americans.
Yeah, I'm so used to that question. But yeah.
Is that close to London?
It's not very close to London. It's like an hour and a bit. But yeah, out in good old England.
How old were you when you came over here?
Well, so I was originally born in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, wow.
I was originally born out here, but I was raised in England. So I didn't come to Florida until, well, I've been out here 8 years. Yeah, 8 years ago. I was like the first time back here.
Did you have family that were living here still?
Yeah, my older sister's out here. I came out to visit her. That was the plan. And then I just decided to stay for a little bit.
Now, what were you doing in England before you came here? Were you doing something similar, or?
Not really. I was DJing a lot, but my actual job out in England was for the government. I was a civil servant, and I worked for the pension service in England on fraud.
So you were like a fraud investigator.
Yeah, I was a fraud investigator in England. But my friends were all in music, and I had the Offbeat Reprobates with my cousin. That was our little group, and I used to do freestyle battles and produce music and stuff like that. So not quite what I'm doing out here, but very much in the music scene out and that stuff.
That's cool. Now, what was it like growing up? Like, do you see like in the music culture a difference between the culture that was over there versus over here? Does one follow the other? Are they on their own paths across the board? Like, I for most people, they don't haven't heard the music in Europe, and some of it's very different. I mean, they still have a punk scene and a EDM scene, and there's all the similar scenes, but the path of the music seems to be different depending on what era we're in. Like, we have the British invasion here with the Beatles and everything Europe, but like the Europeans seem to have their own music scenes that kind of diverge on their own path, and the American scenes have to have their own, especially when it comes to pop, pop and music as all. Do you see a major difference yourself, or do you see just massive parallels? How do you view that?
That's a bit of a tough one because Florida's a weird music scene. It's very weird out here. Like, there's some incredible talented musicians, bands, groups, or whatever else, but like the music culture is different, I would say, in comparison to, like, I've not been many places out in America, but like, the scene in Brooklyn, that music scene is like everybody kind of like this cool stuff going on everywhere, and everybody kind of like supports one another from what I saw when I was out there. And then, obviously Nashville, Austin, things like that. So I'd compare those places similar to like Leicester and the English scene. Like, you know, although the music's different.
But it's so you'd say it's more genre focused in those. Like Brooklyn's about, you know, the hip hop scene. You know, the R&B and hip hop is there. Nashville is about the country, Grand Ole Opry type style.
Right.
Like they're very genre centric. Like
Right.
I'm not saying there's not other genres there, because there is, but
Right.
there's a major overwhelming genre that inundates and kind of sets the soul and the tempo for everything else around it.
Right.
Whereas I think what you're getting at Florida is kind of like this homogeny of everything possible. There is no one set.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, definitely.
You know, I mean, you've got here in Florida, you know, there's no major. There's the punk scene. There's the heavy metal thrash scene. There's the hip hop scene, which is, you know, and depending on which county you're in. Like,
yeah, that's true.
this Palm Beach County, like we have some of the best hip hop rap artists ever, but that scene is very small.
Yeah.
They mostly, you know, perform north or south of us.
Yeah.
And the metal scene's super big for what it is,
Right.
but it's still at the same time super underground, is my opinion. Like,
No, I agree. I mean, I've seen like videos of like before I came out here, like I don't know, early 2000s and stuff like that. And was it Spankies or something like
Yeah,
that?
Spankies
Like
was
the
big.
music scene at one point out here was like huge, especially the hardcore scene, and like it seemed anyway that scene was just like really big out here, and there was a lot of great bands and groups and stuff out here. But being out here now, 8 years in, it is a bit of a it's weird. It's kind of like there's a like I say, there's hundreds of talented musicians, but it's just like a mishmash of everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird for me. I've never been in like that scene's kind of weird for me. You know, like trying to figure out
and
know what I'm saying?
there's a bit of crossover too. Like,
Yeah, there is.
someone that you see, you know him as in a heavy metal thrash band. Like that's what he plays. Next thing you turn around and you see him somewhere else at some other show, and he's performing with a band doing, you know, jam rock, friggin' reggaeton type.
Yeah.
You're like, but you play thrash.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've heard you shred a guitar. And
Exactly.
now you're here playing like a reggae friggin', you know, reggaeton bass
That's what
beat.
I
Like,
mean. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing though, because at least they can do that. It shows you how talented certain musicians are, that they can do that. But it's weird like that. Like you'll see one guy doing this, and then you'll see him in somewhere else, or a chick there. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah. So
Oh no! Or the one is like my favorite is like there's a couple guys, you know, you'll probably know who I'm talking about, but like you see him, you hear him playing some of the bands, you're like, okay, I get it. He does reggae and dub, like, and then all of a sudden one day he fills in and he's playing for a thrash metal band. You're like, bro, you got dreads. You're 6'4" or whatever with dreads. You play reggae. You look like you're a stoner, but here you are playing with a thrash
very
band.
talented musician. That guy. I know who you're talking about. Big up to
Rocky.
Big up to Rock.
But yeah.
That goes to prove what I'm saying is just like, it shows like there is a community there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there is a community with musicians and out here where they can fill in for one another or help one another out. I just wish it was a bit more like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Now, do you think that's due to lack of promotion because everyone's kind of comfortable with the status quo? Because that's what it seems like. It's like, you know, there's set venues, you know, the big ones being Respects and Prop, and then you got, you know, the venues down south, and it's like those set rock type places are just, you know, that's where the different shows are. Occasionally Voltaire,
right.
you know, but there's no other like venue where, you know, once a month something's, you know, we don't have that venue where once a month something's gonna pop off.
Right.
You know, that warehouse that opens up. Like we don't have that here.
No.
And I think maybe that's kind of what's lacking, that once a month.
Yeah, I've kind of always said that, like, there doesn't seem to, like, be a dedicated venue or venue that's just, like, that's the place. That, if you want to hear this, then you need to hit this venue, you know what I mean? Like, there's just loads of different venues that have, you know, sometimes they have great bands playing, and sometimes they don't. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, you're right. There's not like a dedicated spot where like you're guaranteed to see this or
If you catch them when they're open or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because there's places, you know, I mean, that's the weird thing. Like, I know what you're talking about. Like, you go to Brooklyn, you go to any part of New York. Like, there's if it's that week of the month, even in Europe, it's that same way from my experience, whether it was in Ireland or England, where if it's the third weekend of the month, you can go. You go to this place because they're gonna have a kickoff. The rest of the time they're closed.
Right.
But if it's the second, third, whatever their weekend is, when they open for that Friday night and Saturday, it's going to be off the hook all weekend. They're gonna run from this time to this time. They're gonna close down. They're gonna open up again, and it's just a party there. And
you're right. But I don't know. I guess the market out here is just weird. You know what I mean? Because obviously you've got a lot of older people out here. I don't know. Yeah, there's just not that. I wish there was, though. I really do wish there was just that spot where, like, you're guaranteed to just see the best of the best here or whatever else. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be that.
The other thing is, like, I mean, there's bands out there that I like to go see. And I'm happy when they're playing just because I really enjoy what they're doing, but they're also very niche. Like, I love when the Muggles are playing.
Yeah, they're great.
But they're very niche. Like, that's a really cool thing. But
are they done now? Are they?
I don't know. I haven't heard one way or another. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but I like that. But at the same time, they're not a band that I'm gonna go see every weekend. Like,
right.
But they're the type of band that, like, if they were playing this 1 month with this show with this,
but they're good enough that they don't have to play.
Oh, and the other part is they're all in other bands.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That always happens. I get it. Like, it shows that they're dedicated to music.
Oh yeah, and that's I sometimes wonder if, like, though, if that's kind of the disconnect that we have, is so many people are in so many projects that no one's just dedicated to one thing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. That's just my personal feeling.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I don't get it myself. I do get it. I understand it. It's just that,
they love to play and they want.
There's that, and it's just tough, man. A lot of these venues really just care about, selling drinks. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it. It's a business. I understand it. They're not really thinking. But I always feel like, have great musicians and great bands playing, people are gonna stay. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a given. That's a tried and tested formula, and it works.
So what was it like growing up in Europe versus, what you hear people talk about how they grew up here, like, like, and kind of the segue with that is, like, we were talking about the music scenes, like, the leader in the United States is the hip hop, rap music scene, kind of is the leader. In the U.S., what happens here, everywhere else in the world follows.
Right.
Whereas, I mean,
England, though.
England.
Yeah, we don't follow.
But that's the main influence of all hip hop throughout the world comes from
right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
whereas the
origins of hip hop,
yeah,
definitely.
When that influences everything everywhere, but there you've got slightly different type of scene, I guess, would be because, I mean, that's the big origin of, your pop rock, like pop rock, whether it's from you consider the Beatles, the Monkees, Rolling Stones, like the Clash, the Cure. I mean, all your major rock, punk rock, that all came from England. So does that influence still run the scenes over there? Does it still have a big?
Well, I think when you look at the history of, like, punk music and the hip hop in England and whatever genre of music, there's always, like, a subculture with it. Punk music in England was like protest music. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was anti-establishment, anti-fascist, fascism and all that. Like, there was a meaning behind it. There was a reason behind it. Do you know what I mean? Like, same with ska music. Like, before dickhead skinheads fucking took over it. The whole skinhead movement was very, very different. You know what I mean? Like it was like everybody was unified. You know what I mean?
Well, and a lot of people miss that. Like the original
Yeah.
skinhead movement in Europe was based on the blue collar guys working. It wasn't about racism.
That whole dress. It was based on when the Jamaicans came out there. They didn't have shit. They gave them boots and suspenders to hold their trousers up, and you know the white fellas would see the Jamaicans wearing it. And as soon as the Jamaicans started making money, then they started dressing fancier. That's where you got the rude boys. But they were together. Do you get what I mean? It was like a whole thing. But that's the difference I feel with a lot of English genre-based music. There was always like a movement with it. It wasn't just the music. It was fashion. It was the way you talked, the way you acted, etc., etc. So, although America has had great bands and great hip hop or whatever else, it was different in England. Like we wasn't trying to copy what Americans was doing. It was just more that was our.
It influenced it, but it was
we're expressing it in a different way. Do you get what I mean?
It was co-opted for a purpose.
Exactly. Like English hip hop in comparison to American hip hop is completely different. Do you know what I mean? Like,
give us an example. Like, what's English hip hop?
Like Task Force, Skinny Man, Scorsese.
Pull the mic a little bit closer.
Sorry. Rodney P. Jest, Ironbridge, you know, all those different. If you listen to that music, then you'd understand that it's very, very different.
But for people who don't listen to it, who might, you know, wonder, like, what is it?
We're not talking about bitches and hoes. We're, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about living in shit weather and how, you know, we're trying to get off the dole. You know what I mean? Like, or hanging with our mates and smoking cigarettes and fucking talking shit to one another. You know what I mean? Like we're just talking about what's actually happening in our estate and in our area. You know what I mean?
Well, then for people who don't know, estate's the equivalent what we call the projects.
I wouldn't even say that.
No?
It's like it's your hood. It's where you live. Do you know what I mean? It's like you live in this. You got it?
Yep.
It's like you in this area. You know what I mean? Like it's your area.
Your hood.
Yeah. It's your. You know. It's where you stay. So that's an estate.
And I'm with that because, like, with the music genres, like U.S. American rap, you know, a lot of it's dealing with gang banging, you know, which, you know, or if it's not gang banging, it's, you know, drug dealing to get the money, to get the bitches, to get the hoes, as you put it, to get the cars. Would you say that the culture when it comes to drugs and drug dealing is completely different when it affects the music in Europe?
Yeah, I mean, like, grime is more that. Do you know what I mean? Grime music was more talking about that type of stuff. But again, you couldn't compare it to American hip hop because the music's way different. Do you know what I mean? It's like a different time signature and everything. But what they're talking about is like more of that. Like,
would you say because the glorification of it's completely different? Like it's not as
no, the glorification of it is exactly the same. It's talking
okay.
about, you know, same stupid shit, but it's just on a different style of music. Do you know what I mean? So
now, what do you like listen to on your own? Like if you're just popping something into the music at home, because I know not when you're working, because I know when you work, you're working on something. But like if you're just gonna kick back and throw a record on at home while you throw a kettle on or whatever,
right?
Like what do you, are you going back to more like what your grandma played, or are you gonna?
Yeah, pretty much just going through my records, a bit of Janis Joplin, Dionne Warwick, you know, Rolling Stones, things like that.
I get you. I mean, I'm more of a Bachman Turner Overdrive fan myself, or Little Skynyrd, Little Cure, The Clash, depending on what kind of mood, stuff like that. So I totally feel you on that. So that's more. And is that you find that's now is that kind of music? Obviously, it's got an influence, but is that where you find inspiration for a lot of your projects, or do you search other mediums and genres for your inspiration on what you're doing?
I definitely search different genres and mediums all the time. Like I'm always trying to find new music. It's like one of my things, you know. Like I love finding any style of genre, just new music. I'm always looking for. But when I'm listening to that type of stuff, Not really. I'm just listening to it. I'm just kind of kicking back and something to listen to, you know.
Now, is there anything that any musician or composer, performer, what have you, that you listen to that people would be like, he listens to that? That would be a surprise to people, that not necessarily your close friends, but people who are acquainted with you would be like, wow, I'm surprised he listens to that. Like it would surprise him, whether it be a country artist or a composer or something. I mean, you're big into music, so
yeah. Maybe. I mean, you can if you've got Spotify, if you head to the Basement Presents on Spotify, you'll see a lot of my playlists on there.
And how do they get to that? What do they look for? Basement Presents on Spotify?
Yeah.
Okay, so do that. Go to Spotify and just do Basement Presents.
And you'll see like it's a mixture of everything. Like, but off the top of my head, reeling off names, I couldn't tell you. But
see, like, have you ever heard of Havasi?
Havasi? No.
He's a Hungarian piano composer. Very talented, amazing fucking composer.
Havasi?
Yeah. I was fortunate enough, I was actually able to catch one of his performances in Miami.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Like, I mean, most people knowing me and seeing the shows I go to would not expect me to, putting on a suit to go see a piano performance in Miami, but I did. It was awesome. I rolled in on my bike, changed in the middle of Miami, out of my street clothes and bike clothes to put on a suit and tie and the whole nine.
That's dope.
But that's why I asked you. I know you're all over the place. Like most people talking to you were like, okay, they'll give it. You listen to rap, but like. There's always those weird outside influences. Like if you told people, yeah, I like Trace Atkins or, some kind of country artist, like people would probably go, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'll be surprised what I know.
Oh, not surprised. By the way, I just, something that, a musician that, like, that's all. Like, there's always that weird music genre that.
Yeah. Everybody's got it. And I think if you're a musician as well,
I'm not a musician, so.
But for me, and like being a musician and a producer, you kind of have to be into all types of genres. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna help you. It's gonna inspire you to kind of think out the box. So.
Now, growing up, was there any like major? I mean, you were talking about your grandmother was playing music. Was there any like event or anything that that cued you off that said, I want to chase this direction specifically? Because you're, from what I've seen, you are a producer, you do make your kind of own music. I mean, I'm not super in depth. So what are all the different areas you're into? Like, how about we just go straight there? Like, what are all I mean, we know you put on events, but what else? You spin records and all that, but what are all that you DJ? So what are all the different avenues that people may or may not be aware of that you're doing? Like,
so yeah, I spin records and I DJ. I create events. I curate events, such as the Musicians Bar Crawl. I make beats. At one point, I was very, very into the freestyle battle scene.
Really?
I murked a few people in Leicester and in Florida.
Murked them. Left them on their back, he said. Put them down and watched them sit here and stay there.
That was when I first moved out here, actually. I write songs.
Do you perform any of them?
Only as demos for
potential
singers and stuff like that. What else? That's it. I think that's it.
Nice. So do you write your melodies on the piano or on a guitar?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. It normally like it depends. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll sample and then like play over the sample. Sometimes I'll just like come up with like a drum beat or something and then just figure it out from there.
Now, of all these, which is your strongest passion? Your biggest draw? Like what really like has your heart in all this? Is it the songwriting and production, or is it the like what would you say your firing passion right now in all this?
That's a good one. producing and stuff like that, that's something that I just have to do. It's kind of like my meditation. I just kind of like, that's my way to escape everything. But I'd say my passion is just creating cool events and like bringing people together, highlighting talent whenever I can, and performing, whether it's DJing or my own stuff. I'd say that's kind of really what gets me kind of hype. You know what I mean?
Now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna make it a little more personal and intimate.
Okay.
So I know, we're not super close, but we have quite a few friends in common. And my understanding is, unfortunately, you were kind of run through the ringer by a chick. You don't need to, with that, like the heartbreak and all that, like, do you think in this state that you will find love again? Like, no, for real. Like, you're a nice guy, but and we run into each other, but like, are you leaving that door open? Have you kind of shut that door, or you kind of leave it open? Are you actively pursuing it? Like,
that was a weird segue.
Welcome to the blue collar.
Yeah, right.
We've been drinking. It's gonna happen. Do you need another?
And I probably will have another one in a bit.
Answer the question. I'm gonna make you another.
I appreciate that. In regards to that, I'm not really. I mean, I'm concentrating on working on my own stuff. You know what I mean? Working on me, and wherever that ends up, it ends up. You know what I'm saying? So I'll leave it there.
How many sugars? 2 or 3?
I'll just do one. One's fine. Thank you.
Now, I know everyone's not going to hear this real loud, but if there are any girls that are interested, should they be hitting you up in your DMs, or are those flooded with just random stuff?
No, they should just no. I haven't got time for anybody right now.
Oh, everybody's got time for somebody.
Yeah. Can I ask you the same question?
Yes, you can.
I don't want to get in trouble.
You won't get in trouble.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that, bud. You not making yourself one?
Oh, I still have half of mine. I freaking was
Oh,
drunk
that's
before you got here.
so good, man. So good. Coffee and Kahlua. Can't beat it.
But you're asking for me. I've been through plenty of fucking heartbreak.
Yeah.
Had my heart ripped out, stomped on.
Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, cost me a lot too in divorce.
Oh, you were married?
I was married.
Oh, damn, I didn't know.
My thing is right now, I'm open to the possibility, but because of my work and everything else,
You gotta be careful, right? You gotta.
I've decided that I'm dating.
Yeah, there you go.
I will see people, I will have fun, I will enjoy the time, but I'm not. Florida's weird. Like you'll probably recognize this. Like I said,
Yeah. Super weird.
here, if you go out on more than a couple dates with a lot of women, they feel automatically you're exclusive and monogamous. And there's guys that are the same way. Like that's
Right,
just
right.
kind of like an unwritten status in this area.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if we go on more than 3 dates, you don't have to sit here and say we're exclusive. It's just like kind of presumed. Like
Right.
it's almost like after the first date, it's presumed almost.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're going to see each other a second time, that's
Yeah,
it.
super weird, right?
It's very unusual.
Yeah. Very weird.
So for me, I upfront tell them, look, we'll date, we see each other, but if we're going to do this and see each other, I'm telling you straight up, it's
Right.
not going to be monogamous. It's not going to be exclusive.
Right.
If after 6-9 months and you've gone out on dates with other people and I've gone on dates with other people and we've decided that, you know what, amongst everybody, I'm going to pick you over anyone else, then we'll just sit down and discuss it when I feel that way or you feel that way
Exactly.
and see if we're both on the same page.
I think that's fair.
Barring that, look, just because we're doing whatever we're doing
does not make
doesn't make us exclusive.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it also means I'm not going to treat you just. That's the other thing is it seems like there's only primarily two cultures that run around here. It's either we're dating an exclusive right off the jump, or we're just fucking.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that.
Right.
I'm more. You probably recognize this. I'm more of a European style dating, like more of that culture where we go out, we spend time, we whatever,
Right, and then you see where it goes.
And if it becomes that, it'll organically do that, and we'll decide together. We'll spend more time together extensively. We'll say things like that, and we'll work towards it if that's the direction it ends up going.
Yeah.
Otherwise, afterwards, we're still friends. Like that's all. It's building a friendship and seeing if it's romantically 100% compatible. Just because we're sexually compatible does not mean that we're meant to live together.
Exactly.
And, but because it's more on building a friendship,
Right.
if there's parts of it that like, I can't have this in my partner because I can't cope or deal, or it's not acceptable to me.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm throwing away the friendship. I'm just limiting how far romantically involved I'm willing to get.
Yeah.
Because what's acceptable in a friendship is not the same thing that's necessarily acceptable in a romantic partner.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with
If
you.
we're friends and I piss you off, you're allowed to get fucking pissed off at me, tell me to go fuck myself, and not talk to me for 2 days.
Right. Yeah.
And not answer my calls.
Yeah.
My partner is not allowed to do that.
Right.
You can be pissed at me, but you still got to, communicate with me about life and things like that.
Right. So you can fix it.
And that's the difference, like, for me. So I'll be romantically involved with someone, but I won't commit to it. And there's a couple beautiful young ladies. We've, whether we've collectively or not, we're just going to be friends. They're great people. A couple of them, they're great women. They're amazing women. And, it's either, some part of them, or the reality is as much as I care for them, I didn't fall in love with them.
Right.
And if I don't fall in love with them, it's not fair to, in my opinion, whether they agree or not, it's not going to be fair to them for me to be in a committed relationship with them if I'm not in love with them.
Totally agree with you, man.
So that's just the way I'm doing it. I'm open. I'm talking, to whomever. Some of them, anyone that follows me on Facebook knows there's a couple. There's one woman in particular that, I spend quite a bit of time with, but, and she's an amazing woman, and I feel sorry for the dude that thinks he's going to trick her into falling in love because he's going to get his legs broken by multiple people.
Right, for real.
But she's an amazing fucking woman.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I won't force her or try to get her into it, because I'm not in love with her and it wouldn't be fair to her. And she deserves to be with someone who's madly in fucking love with her, because she's worthy of that.
Right.
And she deserves no less than that.
I feel you.
But that doesn't mean because I'm not, that she doesn't deserve to be treated like the queen she is.
Right.
So when I spend time with her, I treat her like the queen she is, and everyone, some people who don't get it, they're like, bro, no, any woman you spend time with, even if it's just, that's the whole thing, I guess. Even if it's just the first date, you should treat a woman as if she is valuable because she is.
Right. I agree with you. Totally.
And that's just how I handle that, and that's my personal view. Like, and the other thing is if someone's going to get in a committed relationship with me, they're going to have to accept that these women who are very close to me, or whether it's 1 or 2 or 20, all from my past, they are part of my life. They are friends first, amongst anything else.
Yeah.
I'll give you a perfect a joke that goes with this. Okay, so I figured my 36th birthday was going to be like most people do 40. I did my 36th birthday. 18's a big one in the United States. I figured double that's 36.
Right.
Had a big birthday party, invited everybody I knew.
Yeah.
Outside of a few select friends, the open invitation, the only people who showed were all of my exes.
Oh, damn.
Including my ex-wife.
Oh, wow.
Like, all of my exes, going back to, like, when I was 18. So, it's this party with, 10 or 12 of my close male friends and their partners, what have you. And then 20 of my exes.
Wow.
And they all got along great.
Of course. So you should.
It was, well, one of my brothers is like, bro, either this is going to be the most epic thing that they all get along great,
Yeah,
or you're going to die at the end of this.
Why? I don't understand that.
Oh, I mean, they're all exes. Most people, a lot of people when they have, exes for whatever reason, a lot of the times it's contentious because people are hurt.
Right.
And that's one of my things. Like, if you're mad at me and you say or do things specifically to hurt me, you can't convince me you love me.
Right.
That's
yeah. No, I agree with you.
like, if I'm mad at you, yeah, I'm gonna tell you I'm mad at you. I'm gonna tell you that I'm upset, and I'm not a very loquacious person. Like, I do this to practice and get better at communicating with people.
Right.
Like, I can be very articulate, but I'm not usually very loquacious.
Right.
I don't talk a lot for people who are.
Right.
I do this to get out of my comfort zone.
Which is dope. It's great that you do that.
But yeah, that's just the way I see things. I'm doing things. There's and the best part about it is done right and honestly, I'm making very dear friends that I can trust, and that's important to me.
I agree.
No.
I mean, yeah, I'm with you on that.
But my viewpoint on love and relationships has changed too. I mean, I'm 40 now, and
that's crazy that you're 4 years
divorce, one really horrible, crazy, insane relationship. I mean, it was utterly insane.
Yeah.
Oh, cops, fucking.
See, that's never good.
And none of it was violence. It was just craziness. Cops called. It was just insane.
See, that's a big no to me. Any chick or anybody that like brings up the C word.
It's other dudes getting involved, making threats on my life.
What, she was messing with somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yep. And that's the other thing. Like, it's one of those things. Like, I wish people understood. Like, the problem with cheating is the damage it does to the other person.
Yeah, it sucks,
and,
man.
I mean, I know there's the issue is there's other cultures in other countries that cheating is normalized. It's part of, whether you South America or Russia.
It's not cheating there, is it, though? It's more like, was it polygamous? Where
I'm not talking about polygamy where you have multiple wives. I'm talking about where going out and having affairs or running around is part of the culture. Like in South America.
You don't think Florida's like that? Florida is very.
No, I'm not saying, but I'm saying it's an accepted part of the culture, like where the parents say you should accept it because that's your husband.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I'm saying, like in Russia, if a man's married and he runs around, like the parents would say you should just be happy you have a husband who takes care of you. South America, that's your husband. You committed to him. Doesn't matter that he's doing that, even though it's wrong. You need to stay with him.
Yeah.
Here it's one of those things where it's accepted that people cheat, but as soon as they get caught, you should get rid of them.
Right.
Or cheat on them. Like that's just it's.
I don't get that. You
neither
should
do
get
I.
rid of them. Yeah, with you. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the weird part on that. Since you directed the question back at me.
Yeah. That's. I know the dating scene in Florida is, seeing as we're on this subject, yeah, it is a bit strange. I'll be honest. Like it's weird out here. Because you're right. Like 1 minute, like if you go on a couple of dates with someone, then it kind of like there's this kind of unwritten rule that okay, you can't, like, we're together, and it's like okay, but then there's also that kind of like
catch. That caveat, but we didn't say anything, so I can do what I want.
Yeah, and then there's just like, there's just kind of that everybody like knows one another. Do you know what I'm saying? Like everybody kind of,
especially if you're in a smaller community.
Yeah, like it's just that kind of weird like small town mentality sometimes when it comes to
Boynton, Lake Worth.
Yeah,
And the smaller cities, like it's weird, even though there's crossover, it's like everybody knows everybody, or who knows somebody who knows that knows you.
Yeah, that's always the case.
Nothing's really kept secret for long.
No. Yeah.
Did you hear Marlon was out seen with this really hot chick?
Yeah. It's just super weird.
Or so and so showed up at the bar with this person.
Yeah.
And it gets out real quick too.
Yeah, I don't get that. Like, there's been times where people like will say I'm this and that. I have a lot of female friends too, as you know. You know, a lot of my female friends are your friends as well.
Yeah. Well, you're also a very friendly and supportive person, but you're one of the few guys that I've met, and this is just my observation and opinion, who truly, are about having just platonic friendship with women.
Yeah.
That's not the standard. Like, the joke is that I tell is not, this doesn't apply to every single guy, but most guys, if they're friends with women,
they try to bone
they're
them.
trying to fuck them, and one of two things happen. Either A, they're still hoping one day it'll happen.
Yeah, which
or
is weird.
B, they found out, oh, she's really a cool chick, and I'm just going to be friends with her.
Yeah, that's super
It
weird.
happens. Like, look, I'm guilty of it. If 9 times out of 10, if I'm friends with a chick at first, it's because I'm trying to bang her.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've just never thought that way.
If I've now, the exception to that is if it's a friend of a friend introduction type of thing.
Right.
Like, if I go up and introduce myself to a girl, straight up, it's not because I'm trying to be friends with her.
Right.
Now, if it's an introduction of a friend, different story. There's plenty of females I have that are friends that were introduced from other friends. That wasn't my intent, but that's why I didn't make the introduction initially either.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've like introduced myself to females with not the intent of trying to get in their pants. I've just never thought that way. Like, if I meet a good looking chick or whatever else, like, my first thought is not to get in their pants. It's just, all right, is this person cool? Now, it's very black and white for me in that sense, because you're either gonna like me or you're not. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I've just never been that way of thinking. A lot of the female friends that I have, it's never even crossed my mind. You know what I mean? It's just been like, I see them like sisters, like, and if I meet a new girl and we're having a great conversation or whatever else, it's either going to turn into something like flirty. Do you know what I mean? It's going to turn flirty, and then obviously that's my sign. But I'm never going to just off the bat be like, so. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
no, I get you.
Unless I'm really attracted to the person. If I'm really attracted to the girl, then yeah. I'm going to be like, hey, what's your name? You know what I mean? Like, but,
absolutely. My attitudes of obviously, but I'm just saying, I used to be like that. Absolutely. That was me 100%.
I get it. I mean, there's a lot of my male friends that I have to, tell them like, yo, chill the fuck out. Like, it's...
my attitude, being older and being in the situation I am where I've now have more friends, or not more friends, but I've expanded my base in my opinion.
Right.
Now, especially with the podcast, a year ago, if I was talking to a girl on my own, it's because I was trying to get her into bed and get to know her because she was attractive.
Right.
Now, I don't really care so much for that. Like, even if she's attractive, I'm not about that. I don't care.
Right.
I have my circle of female friends that I have my time with, that that I'm there for, that have me. For me, especially, it's weird because I'm really an old grumpy guy, but I have those female friends there that fill that void, that emotional and connective void of closeness.
Right.
Not necessarily sexual that some people are going to jump to, but
no.
That
I
person,
get you.
that person that when you don't want to be, it's not about sex. It's about you don't want to be alone that night. That you can just
I totally get where you go.
So for me now, when I meet people, it's not about whether they're male or female for the most part. In fact, I found most of the more attractive physically someone is, not always, but usually the shittier the person they are.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So now it's about meeting interesting people. I want interesting stories.
Definitely, I'm with you on that.
So that's where the drive has been for me. Like, I have my female friends who are my friends that fill those connective issues that most people are looking for in a relationship. I don't need it.
Right.
If someone moves into that area, great.
Exactly.
So I've diverged from that. But yeah, for many, many years, I was that way. And that was my opinion of, and like I said, it doesn't apply to every guy,
right.
But the vast majority, if they are choosing to start, quote unquote, a friendship or an interaction with a woman, it's because there's romantic intention behind it somewhere.
Yeah. But you find I
not
find
all.
it. Yeah. I find with most guys that are like that they're probably very immature and really don't have anything to offer. Like, that's my opinion on it. And, you know, like, and most of my female friends, anyway, I love them to death, but they're the worst in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, you know.
Well, for me, like, if I'm going to be friends with just somebody, it's because we have a shared interest. And
Exactly.
Gender's not involved.
Yeah, that's exactly
so
that. Yeah.
If I'm going to just approach a random woman.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
I have absolutely a certain intent, and it's romantic intent. And
right. And I'm totally with you. Like, I've had girls approach me, you know, but my first thought isn't, oh, okay, she, you know what I mean? Like, so I get what you're saying. Like, there's time and place for everything. You know what I mean? Like, if I go out and I speak to whether it be a male or a female, it's just, are you interesting? You know, what's your story? You know what I mean? Like, it's get to know the person.
Well, that's, you know, you're fortunate. You had a very mature and evolved mindset. Like, you know, I mean, I have female friends that it's all about, like, interest. Like, a lot of my female friends that I have, it's because they're into cosplay, which I think I'm a comic book fan. If anyone looks I'm a sci-fi fan. You know, so a lot of my female friends are into what most people consider the nerdy or geeky stuff.
Sweet.
And you know
Introduce them to me. Shit. I would have comic book friends.
You know, I mean, so it's not with them. It's not like, and some of those women fucking, you know, like, I love it because they know more historic knowledge about comic books than I do, which is cool as shit to
dope.
me.
Yeah.
You know, they are about it, or they're gamer. You know, that's interesting to me. So it's not about them, their sexual parts. It's about their mental acuity and having shared interest. But at the same time, I'm a realist. Not all, but the reality is, well, you are one of the few exceptions. Most men, if they're developing a friendship of their own on women, it's because there's a sexual romantic interest there.
Right.
And the fact that a lot of women, not all, but a lot of women don't want to recognize that there's a majority of men that are like that, really aggravates the piss out of me.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
I mean, take it on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
But be honest and realistic. Like, I'm not saying you can't become friends and it can't become platonic, but be honest that 9 times out of 10, if a random guy introduces himself to you and starts talking to you, it's because there's a romantic interest there.
Yeah, but even if there is, it's not like they can't just shut that person down and just go, no.
Oh, no, I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying, but don't deny it either. Like, a lot of women deny, oh, no, he just wanted to be my friend because I'm a cool person. Maybe.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I don't know. I guess that's more on her. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, she's probably got some type of shit going on there where, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's more of
insecurity
type thing.
Well, us men have it too. Like,
oh yeah, without doubt. There's plenty of dudes that are like,
you know, I mean, a lot of the reason why I like having female friends is because it shows that I'm not a creep. I have Asperger's. I'm high functioning, but
right.
You know, my friends will tell you you've probably even seen it. The greatest thing is I say what's on my mind, and sometimes it's completely off the wall and completely inappropriate for the social setting. It's just one.
But that's what I like about you, though. Like, yeah, you do. Like, the first time I'd always see you come through prop and everything else, and I was like, obviously you're good friends with Joey, and I love Joey, even though he's a little dickhead sometimes. So I was always wondering what your story was, and I remember we did have a pretty long conversation at the bar and talking about different things. And yes, you do. Like, I've had my friends that have met you or I've introduced you to, and they're like, what the fuck is going on with it? You know what I mean? And I've had to explain something like, I didn't know you had Asperger's, but I had to explain, like, yo, he's a good dude. He just says whatever is on his mind. He's not saying it to be rude or malicious or whatever. He's just, like, that's just how he is. Sometimes he's just, like, so it's up to you to kind of steer that conversation another way. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't take it so personal. And that's one thing I've had to learn living out here for 8 years. You're not the first person that I met that just said some wild shit to me, and I'm just like, the fuck was that? And before, my ego would be there, and I'd have to, you know, fucking pump my chest out and all that. But now I've got to the point where it's just like, you know, you can't make people be who you want them to be. You have to understand that this is a different culture, different upbringing, different whatever from you. And you can have a conversation with them or whatever else, but if you're not, you can walk away from the conversation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can say, "Oh, really nice to meet you, man. Have a good night," and keep it moving. You know what I mean? It doesn't. Their shit doesn't have to stick to you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
and the other part of that is what they're saying. Is your ego getting involved because there's a kernel of truth to it that you identify with?
Right.
Or is it because what they're saying is completely inappropriate socially, or is it because what they're saying is just inappropriate morally?
Exactly.
Like, if it's inappropriate morally, I completely get. Like, if someone said, some racist ass shit, I completely get.
Right, of course.
Being offended.
Yeah.
But if it's because there's a kernel of truth to it, or it's just not quote unquote socially something you're supposed to say out loud,
right.
Different story.
Mate, I'm with you. I've got a lot of my friends out here, like vets, ex-vets, and ex-army dudes. And I'm pretty sure most people can say that most ex-army dudes, they will say whatever the fuck they want to say. And it's like, to other people, you're like, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I get it. They've gone through some fucking shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not saying it to offend anyone. It's just, that's how they talk. That's how they are. Do you know what I mean?
And is it more, well, and a lot of the times is, why are you offended? Because it's something that's socially unacceptable to say. Look, I mean, I'll fuck with people. Like, honestly, if you are, if you're one of the, if you believe in whether it's any kind of segregation or whatever, whether it's because you feel white supremacy is a thing or black supremacy, whatever it is, whether you're black, you know what? If that's your honest, true feelings, I say fucking go for it, and you should have your own little fucking town. Get the people together and go move there.
Fuck off, yeah.
Whether it's, I don't care what race you are.
Right.
Look, there's fucking, that's why there's Chinatown. There's places where people based on race and culture congregate. Right. And if that's your thing,
go do it.
Right. Be honest about it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and if that way people can make an informed decision. Don't pretend to be something you're not. Like, if you're a fucking Nazi racist shithead who thinks white people are superior, I got some bad news for you. You got some black in you, whether you like it or not, or Arabic or whatever nationality. We're all a fucking mutts.
Right.
But if that's your honest, go fucking start Whiteville Town. We're a bunch of douchebags, and be honest. So some poor black family doesn't try to move there for a job and realize that's what they're surrounded by.
Yeah. I mean,
or if you're, if you think, Africans are the superior race, go start, or Chinese, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just be honest about it. So anyone that's potentially looking at ending up there has an honest understanding of what they're getting involved in.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Or and it's the same thing. Just man up about it as well. Like, understand, having that conversation where whatever it might be, whether it be race, religion, whatever else. Then I'm friends with people that their beliefs are completely different from mine, 100%. But we can have debates, we can have conversations, and at the end of it, it's normally like, all right, well, shit, we'll agree to disagree or whatever else. I mean, if it's completely out there, then I'm probably gonna fucking slap the shit out of you. But
and that's
I
feel the same way. Like,
well, I can have a man-to-man or whatever conversation with somebody and just go, let's agree to disagree, or, well, okay, you can argue my point and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, those type of things. So anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is just like, I think it's good to have people around you that don't necessarily see the same thing as you, and also don't talk the way you talk. Like, that's why I'm friends with you. Like, I know you're gonna say some shit that some people might go, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But that's why I enjoy having you around. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm going to hear a different opinion. I'm going to just hear just a completely different conversation than the fucking normal, like, bullshit that we talk about in the bar. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's important to surround yourself with people with different views and different ways. And that's one thing I'm very grateful of, like, living out here. If anyone that's ever come to my birthday parties or my events that I've thrown, you'll get, like, I put every different person together. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know. One thing is
it's important.
Like, the weird thing is like, I'm fine with you having whatever view you want. But the big one, and like you were talking about, is until you say something that I find morally or ethically unacceptable and reprehensible.
Right.
Like if you want to believe whatever race, genealogy, ethnicity is superior and better, cool, go do your thing.
Right.
As soon as you talk about violence against another group,
Look,
you want to be a Nazi, be a Nazi. As soon as you talk about any kind of harm to anyone else, I'm all for people beating the fuck out of you.
Yeah, of course.
You know, you're free to say whatever the fuck you want. I'll defend that right, but you're also not free from the consequences of saying something morally or ethically reprehensible. And that's a division that I think a lot of people have lost sight of.
I think, you're probably the very few that will actually step up and like me. If I'm at the bar and someone says, I don't know, something stupid like, oh, you know, something against women, you know what I mean? I might let it slide. I might just go, whatever, man. He's fucking little dick prick just running his mouth. But if said person said, oh, you know, I slap the shit out of a woman or whatever else, I'm going to have to fuck you up. I'm going to have to fucking step to you. Do you know what I mean? It's just like with anything else. If you say something against a race or religion or whatever else.
So I'm going to fuck with you real quick. Sorry. So you don't think women are the equal of men then?
Say again?
You don't believe women are equal to men then?
Depends on what area we're talking about.
Oh, that's like I know I'm going to offend a lot of people with this, okay? I don't think women and men are equal in all things. I think we should all have equal opportunities, but women are not physically equal across the board. There are some women that could whoop the fuck out of both of us with their one hand.
Without doubt.
And people need to understand, there are women out there who are able to hurt men seriously.
Oh, yeah.
My attitude, and I know it's going to upset, if a woman thinks she is decides that she is physically going to do harm to a man, I believe a man has a right to physically do harm back to her in self-defense.
Yeah, I mean, if she's attacking you.
But at the same rate, what you were talking about, if a man's just like, I'm going to go beat her ass because she pissed me off.
Yeah, there's obviously there's different aspects. Like, if anybody's attacking you, whether it be male or female, you have a right to defend yourself in any way
necessary. As long as you don't...
Yeah. But it's like you're always going to get little dogs yapping at your ankles. You know what I mean? You can't kick every dog. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a time and place. You know, like, so that's how I feel about that. Is like, you know, if anyone goes for you, then you have every right to defend yourself. But like at the same time, some shit's just not a fair fight. You know what I mean?
No,
like, I've had situations where I've had fucking arseholes step to me where, you know, whatever, and I could have floored them or whatever. But it's like I'm not gonna. It's not worth it. I'm not going to win this in any way. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
that's the interesting thing. Like, you'll see it in Florida is very, very prevalent with this, where there's a constant double standard. Like, you're a woman, so you're going to get a certain leeway that if you were a man, you wouldn't get. Yeah. But at the same time, like, recognize you're getting that leeway because you're a woman. Right. Which there's nothing wrong with that because, let's be honest, without women, we wouldn't be here. There's no other, you know, it's just it's a weird, like, dichotomy that people need to accept instead of, that's my biggest issue is people don't want to acknowledge that there is allowances based on reality because there are differences.
Yeah, that's across the board. You know what I mean?
You know, just like, you know, you're a man, but if you're in a wheelchair, I'm not gonna. You don't get treated as, you know, and don't. Oh, it's not pity. It's, dude, I don't expect you to be able to stand up and fight. Right. You know, like, no offense, but maybe you can kick my ass. But I'm going to, you know, respect the ethical setting of you're in a wheelchair. So if you're talking shit, I'm not just going to slap the fucking shit out of you up front.
Exactly, yeah. I agree.
You know, I'm going to be like, dude, really? Like, back the fuck off. Stop running your wheelchair and trying to fight me. You know? And, you know.
Definitely,
but
man.
There's also that recognition, like, be advised, you cross this certain line. I don't give a fuck what you are, who you are. Yeah. I'm going to fucking lay you out.
Without doubt.
I don't care if you're a 12-year-old.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'm not going to put myself in danger for anyone. Do you know what I mean?
I just wish people were more honest about it. Like, yes, but there's always, like, acknowledge, in general principle, we agree to this, but we also acknowledge there's outside, outliers that are outside those bounds. And I just wish people were more honest about that there's always an exception that breaks the rule. We acknowledge it and we take recognition of it, but this is the way we feel. It's like save the turtles. Okay, we're going to paper straws. Well, if we're going to go to paper straws, why don't we go to all paper cups as well? It's those little dichotomies that, personally just kind of bug the shit out of me.
Yeah, I feel you.
I mean, I hate paper straws, by the way. And those poor turtles, they can't do their drugs with paper straws. You're all mean to them.
Right. Yeah, fuck paper straws.
But, it's just weird things like, and these are the weird fucking thoughts that run through my head.
Because you're getting older, mate. That's what goes on.
Like, this shit's always run through my head.
Mate, I find that now, like, I'm 35, and just like the weird shit like that, like little things just fucking get to you, irk you, like, and then I'm like, I catch myself like, why the fuck am I getting wound up about something so fucking stupid, you know what I mean?
Well, another weird thing is
how are we looking on time?
We got a little bit more. Another weird thing that happens is, like, I don't know, like the understanding, like realization, like a lot of people, because I'm very conservative in a lot of views, and there's certain fundamental principles I'll defend whether or not I agree with your point of view or not, that people, like, a lot of people think I'm a Trump supporter.
Right.
And like, so as a joke, to break a couple of my friends' balls, who a couple times, went after me, even though they should know better. They actually know me better than that. Like, I'll repost stuff I posted back from the election.
Yeah.
Where, like, stuff like, if Hillary wins, we're fucked. If Trump wins, we're fucked. Stuff like that. Yeah. Or my favorite was, Hillary is president or Trump is president. Which light socket do we stick the fork in?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't, but at the same time, people were pissed off that I was like, I don't see the big deal. I know what he said was offensive about, grabbing her by the pussy and all that shit.
Yeah.
It's offensive.
Yeah.
To women. I grasp that. It's not appropriate talk around company. I grasp that.
Yeah.
The reality is, neither are you talking about a man's dick size. It's not proper conversation.
Right.
If someone filmed that, your girl talk, and published it, people might be offended by that too.
Yeah.
So you need to be cognizant and recognize that there is inappropriate topics people talk about in private.
Right.
That's offensive.
Right.
We all do it. I'm not saying what he said was appropriate, but at the same time, I'm not a multimillionaire whose dad gave him all this money. For all I know, when you're a millionaire, women will let you. Women will let you fucking just kiss them and grab them by the pussy. I don't know.
It's true. Maybe.
I'm not saying it's. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not true. I don't know. I'm not saying it's appropriate.
Right.
But if that's what happens, if women are like, I can get some money if I have his baby, and they let him do that, he may be speaking factually. I'm not saying it's appropriate conversation for public discourse.
Right.
But acknowledge the fact that it was a private conversation. Yes, it's reprehensible, but it may be factually true.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what happens around millionaires on a regular basis, and neither do most of us. And I don't know how women behave around that. Maybe they like that friggin' Cheeto face. I don't know. Or maybe they just see dollar signs.
Yeah.
And, acknowledge that there are, people who have different standards and ethics.
Agreed.
Let me ask you that, like, some of your point of views maybe, what do you feel about, like, a big thing that people aren't discussing that I think they should is, sex work.
Oh,
prostitution.
Yeah.
Do you, because in different countries in Europe, it is legalized.
Right.
How do you feel? Like, do you think it should be legalized? Do you have a moral issue with it or ethical? Do you think you have none? I mean, just weird conversation.
I mean, honestly, I have none for it. Like, I don't know. Personally, I don't know. Like, in one sense, having it legal makes it safer for sex workers, which is always good. You know what I mean? There's regulation there, so less diseases, etc., etc. Would I care if it was legal? Not really. I don't like. I mean, it works for Amsterdam, different places, but I'm indifferent. You know what I mean?
Okay. My whole position is completely ethical. I ethically believe women have the right to choose what they do with their body.
Great. Yeah.
So on that basis, if I believe that, which I have, that's my personal ethic. I believe women, whether, and it sucks as a guy, you don't have, if you get a girl pregnant, you don't have the ethical right to tell her whether or not she does or does not have the kid.
Correct.
At the same token, with that follows, if a woman wants to have sex for money, you have, in my opinion, no right to say no. You have a right to regulate to make sure it's safe. Right. But ethically, I don't think we have a right. We've agreed, I think most of us collectively agreed, that women should have the right to choose what happens to their body. And with that, furthermore, if that's what they wish to do, to sell their time in whatever capacity, because that's all we ever do. This is my rambling thought, but we all ethically trade our time for money at jobs.
Right.
We trade our time for everything, whether it's trade our time for entertainment, trade our time for money, trade our money to receive entertainment over time. That's what we do. We trade our time for things. And if someone wishes to trade their time for physical intimacy in a sexual manner, that should be a woman's right.
True, but the problem with that is that most, I don't know the statistics on it, but let's say a good few of them, typically they are forced into, selling themselves, whether it be drug addiction, whether it be sex trafficking, whether it be,
Okay, but that's where regulation comes in. If you
mental health issues.
But if you if you want to do this, it's fine. It's your choice. But we're going to verify that you're not on drugs.
I agree. The regulations should be.
You use the regulation, and the regulations keep them safe. Like, you come in, it's like any other business license. It's $150 for 2 years, whatever. You're going to meet set standards. This way that they're not underage, they're not being forced into it, they're not addicted to drugs. If they pop positive, there's, drug counseling, etc., to keep them clean, keeping them safe. Right. You regulate it to keep them and their customers safe. And I think it's an ethical, ethically, we should do that. If you do so, it's like anything. Criminal enterprise flourishes when things are illegal.
Right.
The only, if all this is legalized and regulated properly, you get rid of the forced prostitution. You get rid of the.
You say that, but
it's a fact.
I mean, in Amsterdam, there's still cases of sex trafficking and stuff like that, and it's completely legal out there.
But most of the sex trafficking is in underage, unfortunately.
It's true, but yes, definitely underage. But it's also women as well, women and men. Like,
Yeah, no, I know it does happen. You're absolutely right. But it's not, yes, it does happen, but it's not as prevalent. And it's also, you got to remember.
It's just not as recorded as much as far as. Well,
and also Amsterdam, the difference is sex work is not legal everywhere in Amsterdam.
No.
So, again, it's one of those things where when you limit it to a place, you still create a black market in other places.
Of course, yeah, without doubt.
If it was legalized everywhere and regulated properly, I mean, yes, there's always a chance for corruption. That's the reality.
Yeah, without doubt.
Now, enough about my personal. Is there any areas that you find interesting, or any moral quandaries that you've had? As you said, you've been thinking about more historic things as you've gotten older. Is there any moral quandaries or anything like that that have been occupying your thought processes?
Yeah, I mean, again, been out here 8 years. Suicide is a very big thing out here. God rest the dead. But that is kind of been on my mind a lot. Not obviously not me,
but because it's happened to a lot of people that have been close to you. I get it.
The whole kind of I was having this conversation with a friend actually last week about like a lot of guys out here, not out here, but just in general, a lot of dudes like that false masculinity, which then I feel like spirals them into depression. Do you get what I mean? Like it's like you're kind of forced to be a badass out here sometimes. You know what I mean? And I've had a couple of guys message me or call me, like, which I'm not gonna give no names, but like crying. You know what I mean? Like super upset about just, you know, things and just feeling like they can't express themselves. So that's been on my mind a lot. Just like how, you know, just caring for one another, being a friend to one another. Like I've kind of gone out my way to just let certain people know that, yo, if you need, you know what I mean? Like try and boost them up and stuff like that. Cause it's a thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's a thing.
I think it's a corruption of the masculine code that's occurred. Because it used to be, there was the saying, don't let your, it's been corrupted. It was, don't let your enemies see you weak. Don't let your enemies see you cry.
Yeah.
And it got corrupted and misinterpreted. What it meant is it doesn't matter what happened. The people that aren't on your side or that aren't with you, don't show them weakness. Don't let them see they got to you. But what was misinterpreted or failed to be is when you're with, you know, your brothers, your friends, your mates, your inner circle. Those are the people you share, you know, those select people you're supposed to share your feelings with.
Yeah, talk about it. Speak with them. Yeah, definitely.
You know, I mean, that was the thing, like a lot of people don't, you know, I mean, and this is more of a Southern culture thing, like that, you know, fathers, you know, hope we're supposed to share with their kid, with their sons is, that's more like what people don't really like hunting trips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The basis of that, it wasn't, yes, it was about filling the locker with meat.
Yeah.
But it was also a time where it was a few select close men.
Exactly.
Where they could share those heartfelt moments they carried with them, with each other.
Yeah.
Where there's no one else around here or over here, where you could open up about what's been weighing on you.
Exactly.
And get that, you know, excised and shared.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's been missing is the understanding that within your own inner circle, you're supposed to share that. You're supposed to support each other in that way of, you know, this is really being, I don't know, and be honest, supportive, but honest at the same time. Like, bro, she's gonna keep hurting you. Or, you know, whatever the case might be. Or, look, I know you love her and she's doing her best, but, you know, you guys are just toxic or whatever the case may be. The understanding that as men, no, you're not supposed to show weakness in public. You're not supposed to let them see that they hurt you in public. That's acceptable. That's fine if that's part of your... But when you get inside your inner circle away from the outside world, it's okay to show weakness. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to cry with... And you're supposed to... That's part of the bonding of being closeness and being... Is whatever it is, whatever level it is, I got you. I support you. And it stays here. And the rest of the world's not going to ever see that weakness or know it. But... I am here for you to lean on. It's okay. I am your shoulder to cry on. I am that's where the term I am my brother's keeper comes from. It's not I got his back just out in the world. It's I have his back and I have and my shoulder's there for him in his moments of weakness in privacy to support him and work him through. And it's okay to sit down and cry over being hurt.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think it's changing that way of thinking. I don't think it's a weakness opening up about whatever. You know what I mean? And I agree with you. Like when you're with your boys, you're with your homies or whatever else. Like like if you got shit eating away at you, fucking talk about it. You know, open up about it. You got to cry, then cry. It's not. I don't think it's being weak doing that. I think it shows strong character. And I've got a lot of friends that are fucking hard as nails. You know what I mean? But like when they're going through some shit, they fucking, you know, they really like, they're going through some stuff and they'll cry and whatever else. But I think that's a good thing. You know what I mean? Like if it prevents you from doing anything any harm to yourself, then fucking cry, punch out walls, whatever you need to do, but like open up about it for sure. I feel like that, like we have to change that way of thinking like it's a bad thing, because it's not. Like I think if anything, it makes you more of a complete person, being able to express how you feel. In my opinion.
No, I completely agree, and I think that's one thing that needs to be more readily stated.
Yeah, definitely, man.
And you should, if you care about that person, if that person's your brother, your mate, your home boy, whatever. It's not weak because he's going through something. If you can't support him, then you're weak.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you can't. What it really comes down to is you're not coping with your issues.
Yeah.
So you can't help assist you cope with theirs.
Yeah.
And I think that, and again, but I think it's because of a lack of. It really, I put it down to like this nihilistic pervasiveness, or this, and I know it's going to upset people, but this insistence of all-inclusiveness. Like, the reality is not everybody's going to get along with each other.
No.
Not everybody's going to want to hang out with each other, no matter how many friends you have in common.
I agree.
There's just some personalities that don't mix.
Just don't mix. Yeah, I agree.
So, there's a difference between accepting people being themselves and making them part of your life. Like, I don't care, and this is my opinion, how everyone should feel. I don't care what you do or how you do things, whatever.
Right.
In any capacity. That's not my business. As long as you're not harming children or harming other people without their consent.
Yeah.
Keyword is harming them without their consent. If they consent to you doing something, dude, party on.
Right.
That doesn't mean it has to be part of my life.
Right.
But we need to accept that if that's their life, they're free to do that.
Yeah.
Just because they're your neighbors doesn't mean it's in your fucking house.
I agree. I totally agree. I get on with most people, but I don't have everybody around me at all. My kind of core group is very, very small. But I try and understand, that's their shit. You know what I mean? Like, I definitely don't try and fit in with anybody. What you see is what you get. You either like it or you don't. But I'm comfortable in my own skin. You know what I mean? Like, I'm cool with who I am. So I don't have to measure dicks with anybody, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of like a thing out here, is like a lot of people got this kind of bravado. Not a lot, but some people do. And it's just, I don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I normally find it's those type of people that end up going through the worst bouts of, depression and everything else. And that's why I say we got to kind of get rid of that toxic masculinity thing, where people are not afraid to kind of just open up and with their close ones or whoever, just to kind of get them out of that mentality. I think that's important.
I think one of the biggest issues is, like I said, and it's not, is this desire, and we are going to have to wrap up shortly, but this desire for an all-inclusiveness without an acceptance. Like,
I see what you mean, yeah.
Like, just because you accept someone, like, there's a difference between accepting that people have a right to feel, believe, whatever they want, and making it part of your life. Like, I honestly believe all people should have an ethical or moral code of some kind.
Oh, of course.
And look, the inclusiveness, I'm not going to, if you don't have that,
right,
I'm not going to be inclusive of you.
Right.
You're not part of my life.
Right.
And I'm not going to allow you.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're not free to live however you want.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But that's, I think, a major thing is it needs to be honest. It's not about what I believe. It's about being consistent and fair.
I agree.
Like, if we do that, like, if you want to be in my life, you want to be part of my circle, you have to have some kind of ethical code that's majorly in line with mine.
Definitely.
And people need to acknowledge that. Like, You want to be a batshit fucking one of those weirdos fucking at that religious group? You're free to do that.
Right.
Where I have an issue is when you are, because of your beliefs, you're trying to do emotional harm to others
Because of
based
it,
on your beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I have a problem with it.
Yeah.
You want to stay in your little enclave and believe stupid shit and put stuff out on the internet? Go for it.
Right.
It's when you try to do emotional or physical harm that I think you should suffer consequences for it.
I agree.
You know, I think that's the big thing is, you know, people say chivalry is dead. Well, you know, honestly, chivalry should be dead. Like, if you honestly understand the chivalry code, there's a reason behind it. Like,
yeah. I get what you mean.
You know, but
having manners is different, though.
correct.
Like, having manners.
Like, but that's the whole thing is, I think as a society, as a world, we need to create a new ethical, moral, whatever you want, moral, ethical. I prefer an ethical code of conduct that designates the essential beliefs of what it means to be a man, to be a woman.
Yeah.
To be a person, whatever, you know, it is you're looking for. You know, if you want to fill a specific role, regardless of your sex, it doesn't have to be the role of a man. Just the role of being a warrior, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
You know, and set these ethical standards. If you're a warrior, regardless of your sex, these are the ethics that you're going to stand by.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to be a protector, whether it's law enforcement, whatever, these are the ethics you're going to stand by. You know, if you're going to be a healer, it doesn't have to be based on sex.
Right.
You know, and it's based on stuff that we find, you know, good, respectable, that's the best.
Right. I'm with you, man.
You know, and I think the lack of those, call them warrior codes, ethics, whatever you want, is part of the problem. Is everything's so nihilistic, so self-serving, that's part of why so many people are going. Like, look, I'm not a fan of religion, personally. But I get it. Like, it gives people a code to live by.
Yeah.
And if you're lacking, and that's the reality is, I don't care what your code is for the most part, if it makes you a better person.
I agree.
And that's what I think is lacking. So many people, they're anti-religion, they're anti-this, and they don't have a code they live by.
Yeah, they're anti-everything.
They don't have that thing that says, this is what I strive to be. I understand I might fall short. And this is what I'm going to do when I fail.
Right.
You know, whether if I, you know, have a moment of weakness, I understand that's going to happen.
Right.
I'm not going to feel, you know, I had too many beers. There's 6 dudes. Look, honestly, whatever it is, I got scared to fucking face up to them while they were acting that way.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? Maybe I did say, fuck it, I'm going to do the right thing.
Right.
But a code that has an allowance and understanding that if I fail, this is what I'm going to do to make up for it.
Yeah.
You know, and a proliferation of that's what everyone should strive for, and an acceptance and acknowledgement when people do it.
Exactly. No, I'm with you, man. 100%. Yeah, I think definitely in this kind of era that we're in, that moral code is only a minority kind of stick by it. But I do find those that do, they kind of stick with one another. Do you get what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
You know, me and you know, there's different people, even though when we might have different opinions on certain things, I know you stand by this and I stand by this, and I respect you and you respect me. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's very few that are like that, you know. It's like all this kind of fucking backbiting and, you know, weak shit. And I don't understand it. I can't subscribe to it myself, but.
You know, what you're talking about, like, look, if I know you're a certain way, I have to make a choice. Am I willing to accept that?
Exactly.
You know, if I accept that this is who you are and how you are, you know, it's on me for accepting that.
Exactly.
You know, you might be the most fun, coolest person, but if you talk shit about me behind my back and I choose to keep spending time with you, that's on me.
Of course, yeah.
Because whether I want to acknowledge it or not, I've decided I find that behavior acceptable for the trade-off that they're a lot of fun when they're not doing that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I've got a couple of people in my life like that.
You know,
And I normally find though people that are like that you know talk shit behind your back and blah blah blah. There's something fucking wrong with them. Typically, like they're fucking just insecure as fuck and hate themselves and just kind of projecting on you. And two, there's kind of a level of I feel sorry for them. Do you know what I mean? Like heads like that I have in my life, it's like a part of me just feels sorry for them because I know that they fucking hate themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like they hate that they don't have quote unquote a code or you know honor in themselves. Do you know what I mean? And I try and steer them in the right way, and you know have their back at the very least. But you know, some people just want to undo themselves. Do you know what I mean? So.
oh, you know.
I need to go to the bathroom.
All right. Well,
sorry, man.
What do you have coming up this next couple weeks again, so people can get a fresh reminder? Because we are going to wind this down.
Okay. Every Sunday I'm at CWS.
From what time?
From 5 till 10. Thursday.
And that's in downtown Lake Worth?
That is in downtown Lake Worth. Thursday, week before Thanksgiving, we have wax on, wax off. So if you like playing vinyl, then we do kind of like an open mic, but with vinyl, and you get a 15-minute set. You should definitely do it because your records, you got some dope records here. I've got a few things in the pipeline. We're going to plan on doing another musician's bar crawl, possibly New Year's Eve. I'm working with Matthews on a new event. And I'm doing something in downtown West Palm, which is going to be pretty big. Still working on that.
Is there a place they can go to where they can keep abreast of all this as it develops?
Yeah, if you head to The Basement Presents on Facebook, The Basement Presents Music on Instagram. Yeah, and you can find it all there.
Well, here we have it. Thank
you
you for enjoying and joining us on another Blue Collar Genius episode. And to all y'all out there, go fuck yourself.
Thanks, man. That was fun.